Okay, year 10, so this is the resource reliance booster on your 6 marker. Your case study is going to be an AC city, so remember to underline AC city. AC city we are talking about is Birmingham. Remember to bug and box your key word. Keyword will be explained, so give reasons why or how. The main body of this is going to be based on ways of life in a city, and it will be worded like that in your exam. So when you are talking about ways of life in a city, you are talking about its culture. The main word that you may wish to say is multicultural. Birmingham has many different cultures, and this will interlink into its ways of life. So you are talking about sport. You can potentially talk about religion. You can talk about music. You can talk about cuisine. Or you can talk about your own examples. And examiners like to see ones that are not generic, like the rest of the class would do from St Paul's Academy. So AC City is Birmingham. International migration. Now this section here is going to form 2 waves, wave 1 and wave 2, and that is going to form your first paragraph. The second part is changing the character, so that is talking about what we've just spoken about above, waves of life, and that is going to form your paragraph 2. Our structure is going to be link, paragraph 1, paragraph 2. Before you move on to this, you may want to consider looking at the way that I've structured it on the board. So I've broken down that question for you into where you would cap yourselves, and in this you look at international migration, otherwise you will be capped. You must give different areas that have migrated to Birmingham to be able to speak about its influences on its culture of that city. Explain gives reasons why or how, and how life has changed, and how it's changed the character of the city. If I flash up now for you an example from last year's year 11s and show you what it got, you can see the mark scheme for a level 3, 5 or 6 marks, which you're more than capable of. Thorough knowledge needs to be had for this, but this was an example, as you can see on the board. The person wrote Lagos for an AC city, and it is very simplistic, so it achieved a level 1 mark. So do not make that same mistake. Make sure you're boxing, underlining, and then glancing over your answer to see that you have addressed that answer by linking it back to the question. The first thing I would do is have a read of the article that I put online. That article will take you through how Birmingham has become very multicultural. This is an example of the brain dump that I've included from that document. So you're well on your way, if you want to use this, to using this to model that answer. Remember, we are modelling the answer first, and within this text and this presentation, I've given you the marking guidance from the exam board and the feedback of what you can include in your answer. So if we go back to the question, we can talk very much about wave 1 being in 2000, wave 2 being in the 20th century, and wave 2 being in 2000. The main thing you want to look at is that the EU in 2004 included Eastern Europe, so that meant we had more Polish people, Romanian people come over to Birmingham. But in the 20th century, the main influences was South Asia and West Indies. And then in 2000, we were looking at Eastern Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. If we go back to my question and my visualizer, my first paragraph is going to relate to this, and then my paragraph 2, I'm going to talk about the Asian music scene. I'm going to talk about the Balti curry, and then I'm going to link it at the end. Remember, our links are just going to reword the question. If I was writing an example of a link for you, I may say the city I have studied is Birmingham, and 2 main waves of international migration has made this a multicultural city. If we go back to the brain dump, you can see Balti curry has its influence from Pakistan and the Kashmir region, mainly in its spices, and it also has what is called the Balti triangle in Birmingham city centre, and the Asian music scene is 90% in Birmingham, and it is Bhangra. Make sure you spell that right or practice that when you are writing this, Bhangra music. Or you could use the Sampad from South Asia if you wanted to as well. This just gives you an example. I think I've given you enough information to be able to focus on writing this. I've given you a breakdown of how I would write and use my so what. If you see it at the board at the moment, I've wrote a lovely link that I've taken from the article that I've given you and reworded it into my own words. I've said the mixture of heritage and cultures. You could write a simple sentence just saying it's multicultural, and I will tell you why. Look how I've structured it here in point, evidence, explain and link. My first point that I'm making in my first paragraph after my link is in the 20th century, most immigrants come from South Asia and West Indies. That is my point. And then I go, so what, Davis? That's what I'm saying in my head if I'm using the so what technique. I'm then linking it and explaining it towards the question. So I'm linking it to how it's developed the Asian music scene and cultural food influences. That is going to be my main paragraph 2. And then I am going to evidence it by throwing in my 90%, my Bhangra music, my Pakistan and Kashmir food influences, and the Balti triangle, which is my evidence from my brain dump. My final point is going to be my link, which I'm then going to take it back to the question and reiterate that I have cultural influence and food in the first wave of migration. If you would like further support, and in additional to this video, you could use the 6 marker Lamati Style, which is his YouTube channel that he's using to support Year 10. So you can use either of our strategies and see how that can assist you in this question. If you need any help, you know where I am if you need me.